Good afternoon, everyone. So for today, we will discuss about everything to know about the phosphorus cycle. So before learning about the phosphorus cycle, we need to first understand the biogeochemical cycle. It is believed that there is only a set amount of matter in our world, and it is conserved, which moves between biotic and abiotic. The biogeochemical cycle, in simple terms, is how the nutrients move between living and non-living. Biogeochemical cycles can be separated into three processes: biological, chemical, and geological processes. In order to further understand the biogeochemical cycle, we must first understand what these nutrients are. The nutrients every living being needs are condensed into the acronym SNOPS. C for carbon, H for hydrogen, N for nitrogen, O for oxygen, P for phosphorus, and S for sulfur. Today's discussion focuses on the slowest out of all the biogeochemical cycle, and it is the phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus cycle includes rocks, soils, waters, and organic living beings. Along with the nitrogen cycle, the phosphorus cycle is also called a limiting nutrients. This means that life needs and is waiting for these nutrients. Once life gets those nutrients, it will boost the growth, which is excellent, but it could sometimes lead to eutrophication. In short term, eutrophication is the excessive richness of nutrients in a lake or other bodies of water, and it can cause a dense of growth of plants and death in animals from lack of oxygen. Going back to the main topic, phosphorus can be found in DNA, RNA, and ATP. Phosphorus is essential for the health of microbes inhabiting the soil. Some farmers even use them as fertilizers for their plants. Phosphorus is also necessary for all living beings because of its function in the following area: DNA and RNA inheritance, phospholipids as membrane components, free nucleotides for energy transfer, sugar phosphates within carbon metabolism, including signaling and regulating processes, as well as the production of ATP.
There are four key steps of phosphorus cycle. First, the decomposition. Generally, the word decomposition is all about the decaying or breakdown of a substance caused by changes in the component of a chemical. It can also be referred to as the process of breaking down different organic materials into their constituent elements. It is due to the presence of different decomposers from a certain material, such as fungi and bacteria. It is also known to be the first stage in the recycling of nutrients that have been absorbed and used by an organism. The organic form of phosphorus is transformed to an inorganic form during decomposition, which is subsequently recycled to the soil and water. Decomposition plays a significant role in the ecosystem, as they become the food source for many species. It contributes to the nutrition cycle and is an important part of the biosphere's recycling mechanism. This breakdown reduces the amount of carbon that may be stored in an ecosystem, freeing up resources for other vital ecosystem activities and processes like plant production, water, carbon dioxide, and nutrients are released as organic matter decomposes, which makes the released excess nutrients available for plants to grow. Next is the sediments. Sediments are solid materials and particles that have been transferred and are deposited in new and various locations. Sediments can be made up of rocks and materials and also be classified from the remains of plants and animals. It can range in size from a grain of sand to a boulder. Erosion is the process by which sediment flows from one location to another. Erosion is the process of removing and transporting rock or soil. Sediment can be moved by erosive forces such as water, ice, or wind. Sediments have a vital role as it usually adds nutrients and mineral to the soil. Sediments rich areas are often known to be also rich in biodiversity. A sedimentary soil is usually preferred for the agriculture industry. Sediments are also known to help in producing beaches, splits, and bars and estuaries, as well as providing a habitat for aquatic plants and animals. It also offers essential fertilizers and minerals to the downstream habitats. As the elements have dissolved from the cycle and will end up like sediments where it can remain for of million years. Finally, weathering releases phosphorus into the soil where it is taken by the plants and the phosphorus cycle begins all over again. Next is the weathering. Weathering is the breakdown or disintegration of rocks and minerals on the Earth's surface. Water, ice, acid, salts, plants, and animals are all weathering agents. Rainwater, extremes of temperature, and biological activity all contribute to the weathering of rocks at the Earth's surface. Weathering is also referred to as the breaking up, and fragmentation of the rock that makes up the ground surface and is exposed to the elements. Over time, weathering wears away at exposed surfaces. The amount of rock has been exposed to the elements influences how prone is it to weathering. Lastly is the absorption. Absorption is the process by which a substance absorbs and changes the energy. The material captured by the absorbent is distributed throughout the absorbent, whereas the materials captured by the absorbent is simply distributed through the surface. Absorption in the phosphorus cycle occurs with the help of plants and animals. In the phosphorus cycle, absorption in plants, fungi, and microbes may take phosphorus and flourish once it is in the soil. Phosphorus is absorbed by animals that eat plants or animals that eat plants. Herbivorous creatures, birds and fish, or for example, eat both marine and terrestrial vegetation. As a critical process, absorption has a variety of components that contribute to the agricultural land and maintain the phosphorus cycle in the correct working order to provide the right nutrition for plants and animals.
Phosphorus cycle is the process by which the phosphorus moves through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. It is essential for the plant and animal growth, also in the health of microbes inhabiting the soil. The phosphorus cycle can be applied to any element of life, whether it is a member of the plant or animal kingdom. The phosphorus forms fundamental components, which are DNA and RNA structure, which determines what we are. The phosphorus plays a major role in cell development and key component of molecules that store energy such as ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate energy cycle, and lipids. Without it, we will not be able to contract our muscles. The phosphorus goes through a cycle similar to that of carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. Phosphorus is important to plants and animals because it is their essential nutrient, and in plants, insufficient phosphorus in soil can result in a decreased crop yield. The soil, plants, fungi, and microorganisms can get in touch with the phosphorus and grow. It can also be washed in the local water systems, which can be absorbed by the plants, and the plants with phosphorus be eaten by the animals. Once the plant or animal dies, the decomposition results in the return of the phosphorus back to the environment via water and soil, and is continued to be repeating the cycle. Now that the plants and animals in this environment can use this phosphorus and repeat the cycle. Phosphorus cycle is very important in human body. One of the stages in phosphorus cycle where phosphorus is in animals and plants, humans consume them as their food and source of nutrients needed by the body to live. Phosphorus is vital for the production of DNA, RNA, and bone. About 85% of the nutrients can be found in the skeletal and teeth portrayed as calcium phosphate crystals. The average human body should intake 560 to 850 grams of phosphorus to maintain a healthy body, according to the Food and Nutrition Board. Phosphorus deficiency is often due to its abundance of food source, but it can affect growth, bone density, tooth problems, weakness in bone structure, and pain.
That is all for today. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.